I just built the strongest, fastest, easiest shelving system ever, and I made a video so that you can do it too using these two basic tools. Everything we use today will be available on Lowe's.com. If you want to build these shelves for yourself, I've linked all of the products and materials in the video, and you can check out the link right here. So today, guys, we're going to build two shelf system, and we are going to make them 8 feet long, just like building materials come from the store, okay? Now, this is a piece of hardy panel, and what we're going to do is we're going to attach this to the back of the wall, and whether it's to your basement like it is here, or your garage or your shed, almost everything is constructed 16-inch on center with your framing. And so we're going to end up in a situation here where if you don't have it insulated, it's just an empty cavity where things fall behind. And if you do have it insulated, where we live, we have plastic vapor barrier. We want to protect this against penetration. So we're going to stick this hardboard on. This is not expensive material, and it's very good at protecting surfaces and keeping things from falling in behind. We're just going to go set this up kind of in the middle of our space here. Make a mark on my vapor barrier because I have got electrical that's going to go in this wall. I don't want to get it covered up. All I've done is set up a 2x4 on my ground here in my basement, and I'm going to just position this just to the front side of this, and I'm going to adjust the depth of the blade. Okay, release the blade, and we're going to just bring this blade down until it is just a little bit thicker than the material. Okay, that way I'm not going to cut into my floor by accident. Now you'll notice this is a little oversized, but that's fine. Like I said, I just don't want to be fussing around with this all day long. There we go. Now let's see if this fits. There we go, give or take. And yep, that's gonna work really nice. So now that we've got it cut, we're gonna install it to the wall. I'm gonna use this right here, okay? That's 1.25 inches, and that's a washer head screw. You see that? So it's flat up against the wall. And the reason this works, and you don't have to worry about the depth, building code tells all the electricians and plumbers that anything that passes through a stud has to be 1.5 inches from the face of the stud. We've also got this extra 1/8 material. This is 1.25 inch screw. So you are not going to have any issues. This also will do a great job of marking the locations of the studs for later on. And that is money in the bank. Okay. And done. Okay. Now we got to do is measure and cut for the top. My plan is to put a shelf at 3 feet because I love having great big oversized storage underneath. And then another shelf 2 feet higher than that. Don't want to go higher than 5 because I just find putting big things on a really strong shelf, the fact that we're making it to carry thousands of pounds means that you don't want to have to be lifting things up over your head, right? So we're going to stop at 5 feet. But we do have a little bit of room here. So I'm going to cut a hardboard panel, 3 feet tall, by the full length, and then we'll stick that one on as well. All right, now before we go and install the hardboard, let's take time, mark our studs right in the middle on the plastic with a marker so that we will have an easy time identifying where they are in the future. Here we go. Beautiful. Hey. Now, you know where the middle of the stud is? Beautiful. Now we just finished tacking it all in, okay? So now we have a solid wall that we can build on. I'm going to show you the simple system for assembling all of this, okay? This is where it gets fun. And guys, be careful. Watch out for staples in your lumber. A lot of the times they wrap them in plastic to protect them during shipping. And that's probably the most dangerous thing on the job site today is a staple. All right, so when you're building an 8-foot shelf, the easiest way to do it, use an 8-foot 2x4. That'll be the face and the back of it. And then we're just gonna cut 4 pieces here of 2x4 that go in between. Our shelf will be 24 inches deep. 2x4s by nature are 1.5 inches thick after they've been planed. And so the actual dimension of one in the front, one in the back is -3 inches. We need 4 pieces cut at 21. And that is all we need to do to set up our frame, and then we can get installing it. I'm just gonna mark this. And to help make sure that all of your lumber is cut the same length, use the same board that you just cut, make it flush on one end, and then mark the other end. That's perfect every time. So now we got all our boards cut, roughly 32 inches. Every segment, that takes it to 8 feet. I'm using these number 9 by 3 1/4 screws, all right? These are phenomenal. They work indoors, outdoors, and they're gonna give us really good grab. You pull all this together. They don't need any pre-drilling. And the best thing about this system, you don't have to do any pocket holes. Lord, just quick and easy. All right. Just so that every part of the shelf carries the same weight. We'll put that centered on 32 inches. Okay. Centered on 32 inches. Okay. All right, and then one on the end, nice and flush. Now, in this situation, if your wood is a little twisted, and your wood will be a little twisted, just simply start the screw, hold it flush to the wood, and screw it in. Fixing how square the wood is can be done later. All right, there we go. And we're only using 2 screws on each side. Like I said, these screws pre-drill, so nothing's gonna split. Because we're using 1 full sheet of plywood, that's 8 feet long, you don't have to worry about making all of this perfectly square. Just get her tacked together. All right, next step is to get this mounted on the wall. For that, we need 2 pieces of lumber cut at 36 inches. We'll have a 3-foot space underneath. We'll maintain that full 36 inches. All we gotta do is take that lumber and set it against the wall to get started. All right, and just so that we don't have an accident, we're gonna screw it to the wall. We know there's a stud there. We've got these screws here to line this up. Not all the way in. Just grab about 1 inch of wood, just so it doesn't fall over. Do the same over here. All right, good to go. Now, next thing we need, in order to make this work, and you're gonna have to kind of see it develop, and then you'll have an aha moment in a minute. We're gonna take 3 pieces of 1x4, cut them all to the same height, and that height is gonna be simple. We've got 3 feet to the first shelf, 2 feet to the next shelf, plus the height of the 2x4. Okay, so 3.5, 3.5 is 7. So we're gonna go 5'7", 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus a little bit more. We're gonna go cut them right at 6 feet. And there's a reason for that, we'll show you later, but having the front of this extend a little bit actually helps you with some storage options. So, let's just cut our 1x4s. We're just going to 6 feet, 72 inch. Here we are, bam. Nice and simple. Okay, now at this point, I'm just gonna make a couple of recommendations. If you are outdoors and you're building this, your support should be made out of pressure-treated lumber, okay? If you're in your garage and you're on concrete and your house is built before 1990, then you won't have a vapor barrier underneath the concrete. Again, use pressure-treated underneath or put plastic underneath regular wood. And if you're in your basement and you have a dry basement, which means you can tape a plastic bag down overnight and you lift it up and there's no wet spot, regular wood is good, like indoor spruce. But if you have an older house and you're concerned about moisture, you can use pressure treated lumber on anything that transfers right direct to your concrete. If you have finished flooring, then you're fine, okay? Now when I start assembling this, your mind's gonna wanna go, wait a minute, that's not gonna work. That's not strong enough, Jeff. There's a problem here. Hello, Houston. But this is it. We stick this on. Make sure we're flush to the edge. That's it, okay? That's all you need to know. And then we're gonna grab a 1x4. Okay. And we're gonna mark 36 inches from the bottom, right? Plus 1, 2, 3.5. Okay. Could have done this earlier, but we'll do this on the fly. All I'm doing is marking this spot here with this spot right here. And then I'm ready to go. Alrighty. So that represents the top of my shelf. And this works really great because I have flat floors. I put floor leveler on the entire basement, so I don't have an issue. If you're concerned about your floor leveler, then you can do this as a temporary measure. That'll carry all the weight. And you can actually go out and you can get a level and you can stick it on and you can see if you're up, low, left, right, otherwise. Okay. I can tell from here that I'm actually, oh, that's actually pretty darn good. Now, this is a storage level. Sorry, this is a storage shelf. Anytime that bubble is between those two big lines there, you're close enough. As long as you're not storing bowling balls, you're gonna be okay. Don't be too hard on yourselves, all right? Now, this is where the magic happens, guys. See how we have our studs marked? All right, I can come right up here. I can line up that stud. Remember, that screw is 3 1/4. The wood is 1.5 inches. This is 1/8, and the stud, I have 1.5 inches until I get electrical. So in truth, I've got all kinds of room here, all right? After I get a screw in there, I can take that off, and we're gonna reuse that in a minute. But because we wanna carry all kinds of weight, here we go. We're gonna drive a screw at every stud. Now every one of these screws, because it's a number 9, carries 100 pounds. All right, that's the shear strength of the screw. So we are going to be just fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 studs, 600 pounds on the back, plenty of weight on the front. Okay guys, so here we go. We're gonna take this one, flush it off the edge, throw in a drywall screw. Okay. And then before we go and tack it all together, we're gonna take that 36 we used on the back, bring it forward, underneath the shelf, flush, weight down on that 2x4, flush, set the depth, okay? Then all we do with the 2x4 is laminate it to the 1x4. And here's the deal. Now we have direct load transfer into the 2x4. The 1x4 is going to facilitate assembling everything together really simple. Okay? That's it. Life gets really easy. So then we start talking about, well, what are the rules for, you know, structural load transfer and all that sort of thing. And the truth of it is, 1x4 is going to carry a fair amount of weight. And that's nice in a lot of situations. But a 2x4, every 4 feet will carry as much weight as is necessary. I mean, you could park a grand piano on this thing, you're not going to have any issues. All right, here we go. So now I got direct load transfer to the 2x4 down to the concrete. Not an issue. We're just going to stabilize this and square it all off. Make it look pretty. Use the drywall screws because there's no weight. There's no load on the screw. It's just there to hold it nice and tight so nothing falls apart. So when you're loading and unloading, you kick a leg, nothing goes flying on you, okay? Here we go. We're just trying to get this first one finished. Where's my mark? There they are. We're going to laminate the 1x4 together with the 2x4 for the purpose of creating our leg. Remember, it's the same height as the other ones. And at the end of the day, we're going to have issues with twisted wood. Your floors aren't going to be perfectly flat. So what we're trying to do is put a little weight on here, get in the right spot, drive it in. Okay, now we can pull out the level, double check. Are we within that realm of normal? Okay, is it perfect? Nope. We're dealing with wood. We're dealing with concrete floors. We're dealing with everything life throws at you. That's not bad. All right, close enough. And in the world of a temporary shelving, we're going to call that perfect every time. All right, now the way that we can duplicate this now is we're going to cut our shelving material, get it screwed down in place, and we'll make another frame and we'll install that one, and then we're almost finished. Next up is to cut our piece of OSB exactly 2 feet deep, and it's already 8 feet long. We'll drop it in and screw it down. All right, guys, so like I mentioned, OSB with the tongue is 48 inches all the way across. Actually comes up just a little bit shy. So what we're looking at doing here is measuring to 24 inches, okay? We're gonna make a mark just shy of 24, so like 23 7/8. That's the goal. We'll do it at both ends. And again, we'll use the chalk line to create a cutting surface. We'll try to cut right down that chalk line when we're done. So that should give us 2 pieces of material that are so close to 24 inches. It's gonna be awesome. All right. So here's the only thing you want to be paying attention to in this situation, because if you are cutting this line, then which side are you putting weight on? It acts like a teeter-totter. So you want your saw and your knees on the same side of the line, okay? If I'm over here like this, cutting, and I'm putting my blade here, and I've got weight on this side of the 2x4, then I'm gonna cause a lot of compression, a lot of pinching, and you're gonna cause the saw to jam or kick back. It's dangerous, all right? So here we go. Stay on your own side of the teeter-totter. Alrighty then. All right, here we go. We're just gonna pop this in. There we go, done. Now, get it flush in the end. And again, more drywall screws to put it together. Okay, gravity does all the work here, folks. All right, here we go. Don't need a lot. You know, 3 screws will do the job fine here, I think. On each side. Make sure they're nice and flush though, so they're not gonna catch anything you're pulling off or pushing on. There we are. And then, just to keep things from falling off nice and tight, throw a couple of screws in the back into that 1x4 across the back wall. Now that we've got a level surface, we've got our dimensions all predetermined, we have supports in place, really easy for us to build the next section. All we need here is 3 more 2x4s, the height of the gap that we want to maintain. So we're going to go 3 2x4s at 24 inch. We're going to stick the back supports on and repeat. Just so you know, it's strong enough. Ta-da! Yes, I am over 200 pounds still. Working on it. So, find the middle of that stud here. Stand it up and drill. That'll carry the weight. Nice and easy. There we go. Done. Okay, so now we got to build another frame. That means 2 more 2x4s and 4 more blocks cut at 21. Just remember when you're throwing in a screw, until the gap closes, you're not done screwing. Okay, so now at this point, the back of the shelf is being picked up by the 2 sticks on the back. The front's being carried by this 2x4 here. It's just floating. And the weight is pressing down on it, so we're gonna laminate it right here. Now, before we go any further, we're going to stick a level on this 1x4. Being a little exact doesn't hurt, all right? All right, good. Now we're gonna grab our 3-inch screws again, pick up across the back where our stud locations are. All right, there we go. There we go. And this is easy. You can actually point it at your screws, look at your mark, and then just lift your drill up towards your mark. Or you can draw a line, you can drop a laser, you can string line it, whatever you want to do. All right, so for those of you with a keen eye, you noticed I made a big mistake. That's right, I did not first flush off the end. I just installed my shelf about 3 inches too far to the left. And that's fine. We're just gonna slide it on over. Get it square with where we actually want it. And we'll do that all over again. My bad. I'm not perfect. I just make sure when I screw up, I go back and fix it. That's about as close to perfect as you're gonna get in life. All right, now we can take it off. Stick it up here. We're gonna switch back to our drywall screws. All right. Same thing. Now let's make sure it's level. Yeah, that's pretty good. There we go. All right, now we got it all together. At this point, I'm gonna add a second screw to all these locations where the strapping meets the 2x4 horizontal, just to make sure there's no risk of it pulling away. All right. Okay, now we got to go grab our other piece of plywood, shove that on top, and I'm going to need a bench to be able to screw that down. Now, this is the perfect location, guys. Throw that groove, the tongue from the tongue groove on the top to the back. There we go, flush that off. Bam. Let's try this. Now, building this way, you don't have any risk of this tilting off the wall, okay? If you build an assembly system and you make it a piece of furniture and you slide it against a wall, then make sure when you go out and you buy something like this, you screw it to the very back of your shelf and into a vertical stud, okay? Because kids are going to climb up there in and around the second week of December looking for their Christmas gifts that you're hiding on them. And you don't want to have them climbing up here and then pulling that shelf over on top of them, okay? But the way we built it, this entire thing is anchored to the entire wall. So no risk of that happening. Okay, and just a quick tip for everybody who wants to customize your shelves. You've got some smaller stuff and you want to be able to have access to it so you're not buried underneath. Here we go. We're gonna just quickly rip together a 4 foot wide with a 9 1/4 inch gap platform. So they actually sell these panels 2 feet by 4 feet. And because we have the blocking in behind, our depth is now 22.5. So I gotta take 1.5 inches off. I'm just gonna set up a good rip here and off we go. That's gonna be close enough. Just to confirm, I'll drop it in behind. Beautiful. All right, now we're just gonna grab a piece of 2 by 10, which is 9 1/4 tall. We're gonna cut it into the same 22.5 inch dimensions 3 times, left, middle, and right. And we're gonna create ourselves secondary shelving. All right, now I'm gonna take my 3 blocks. I'm gonna set up one over here, one on the other end. Okay. I'm just gonna tack it together with the drywall screws, guys. All right. This doesn't have to be rocket science. If you're storing smaller stuff, just want to make it stable. There we go. There we go. Now this material here is actually around the 1/2 inch mark. It's not the same thickness as the rest of the shelf. That's okay. It makes it much more affordable. And we stick up the last one up in the middle. Here we go. Okay. You see if we're about 32 inches on center here. Or 24 inches on center. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to anchor this with a 3-inch screw. It gets pretty good. And because this is so soft, the strapping, I'm going to bury the head just a little bit, make sure I get a good piece of meat in here. All right, we're going to go all the way through the assembly where it's flush. Then I'm going to do the same at the bottom. And then allow me to push this in. Get a good finished look. Now it's a lot more stable. Nothing's rocking and rolling. And I'll hit a couple over here as well. Okay. No, nothing's square here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set it. I'm going to push it from inside until it's where I want to see it. And then I can drive the screw. All right. And then one more up top to get it nice and stable. Beautiful. Perfect every time. All right. And for here, just so things look normal, we're going to start it. I'm going to back it up in reverse and create a new channel for it. Then I'm going to start screwing down, push it over, get it square. There we go. Finish it off. All right, there we go. Now all that's left to do is to throw all your favorite stuff on here. I'm gonna recommend using totes and bins, keep things nice and clean and tidy. That way you can label them and you can find all your stuff stored in your little pieces, all your big stuff underneath on the floor. Things like your vacuum, okay, stuff like that. You can put your shop vac under there, no problem. All of the products used today are linked in the video, guys, so if you found this useful, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in another video soon. Cheers.